Let us rise for the gospel. The Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said, "There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. And on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the seas and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." And he told them a parable. "Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they sprout leaves, you can see for yourself and know that summer is already near. So also when you see these things taking place, you know the reign of God is near. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Be on guard so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life. And that day does not catch you unexpectedly like a trap, for it will come upon all who live on the face of the earth. Be alert at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that will take place, and to stand before the Son of Man." This is the gospel of our Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Be seated. Advent. It's a great season. A season of hope. It's a season of reflection about the coming of Jesus. As I mentioned to Aiden and to Emma, that it's the coming of Christ into our hearts, the coming at the manger on Christmas Eve, and His coming again. Those things that we think about. So that's a season of hope and preparation. It's a season of the coming and a season of waiting. The question is, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? In all of these texts, we can ask that question. Jeremiah was a prophet who came when he was a young boy. He was a prophet at least for 3 or 4 kings, as the country of Israel, the southern kingdom, was going through incredible turmoil. They had the Assyrians from the north coming toward them, and they had the Egyptians from the south, which was the other powerful nation. And here was this little nation in between, being squeezed by these 2 powerful nations. And in the midst of all that, they had a political structure that was pretty rotten, pretty manipulative, and taking advantage of those who were poor, and that represented over 90% of the people. And the people were concerned, the people were tried in tribulation that they were going through, and asking themselves, what hope do they have? And Jeremiah gave them that hope, that the Lord would fulfill His promises. The Lord would come. And they even had a play on the words of one of the king, that the Lord is our righteousness. And that they would be provided with safety and security, to give them hope at that period of time. Paul wrote his first letter to the Thessalonians and was talking to them. Now, if you recall, in the past I had said to you that the people from Thessalonica thought that Jesus was going to come immediately after His resurrection. Paul even believed that, as we've read in other texts. And so here they are, waiting for Jesus to come, and He hasn't. So there's people who have died, and they're wondering what's going to happen, what happened to them since Jesus hadn't come. And they're wondering about themselves because their actions and their plans and their hopes all were based on Jesus coming right away. So what are they waiting for? And Paul gave them something to focus on. Paul said, you are the community of faith. Read that text and how Paul loved those people and was relating to them, and he is suggesting to relate to one another and strengthen each other in their faith as they walk this human journey. And then comes the gospel. Luke, the Gospel of Luke was written about 95 A.D. And as they're writing this, think about being the people of God at that time. It's about 70 years after the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now at that time, they had already experienced the fact that the Roman legions had come and leveled Jerusalem to the ground and destroyed the temple. Everything that was their focal point and hope for life. In addition to that, Mount Vesuvius had erupted, killing thousands of people. And the clouds of dust and ash over the whole Mediterranean could be seen for 100 miles away. And take these people who have no science whatsoever, and they still believe the earth is flat. That the dome is across the sky that is the sky, and from that dome are where the stars are, and the sun and the moon revolve around the earth. And in the midst of all that, they have this Mount Vesuvius, and they have the fact that everything that they hanged on to destroyed. And over and above that, in 90 A.D., there was a thing called the Council of Jamnia, in which the Roman legion and the Roman authorities, along with the Jewish authorities, made peace with each other. And one of the agreements they came with is that the Christians would no longer be classified as a sect of Judaism, and therefore they would not be able to come under the classification of Jewish people. So they were open to persecution. All of this going on. And so Luke is writing the words of Jesus and saying, stand up, raise your head, for your redemption is coming near. The reign of God is coming near. So that they could have hope. That's what they were waiting for. That's what they were hoping for. So what does it mean to us? Well, take a look at what's going on. Syria in a civil war. Egypt, possibly another revolution. Israel and Palestine with a very shaky truce. Iraq trying to build nuclear weapons. Afghanistan and Iran. Afghanistan and Iraq filled with terrorism. And then there is the fiscal cliff that we keep hearing about. And the European economy that is struggling, along with our polarization. And you hear the words of Luke saying that the earth, the people on the earth, are very confused because the roaring of the sea and the waves. And can it bring up Katrina and Sandy and 2 tsunamis in the last 10 years? And the fact that there are hurricanes and tornadoes that are constantly we're hearing about. Even in our own area, Camp Creek with a tornado and Dry Creek with a flood. They call the Southeastern Synod the Disaster Synod because of the hurricanes and the tornadoes and the rains and the floods. Think of all the people around us who are looking for hope, who are looking for something to think about in a positive way. And we can hear Jesus say to us, stand up, raise your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. That's what we can hang on to. And one of the things we can look at as we read the text from 2nd or 1st Thessalonians, I can almost hear them talking about the community of faith here at Cross of Grace. The love and concern and sharing with one another as we face the struggles of life. That we strengthen each other as we walk this human journey. But is that enough? Is that what we're waiting for? After all, if the people are out there wanting what we have, it is not enough for us to be able to say, we've got something that's joyful. We need to share that with other people. And not just the fact that we can come together as a group of people, accepting one another, sharing with one another, comforting one another, and even moving one another, in order that we can be the people of God. We need to share that which gives us the strength to stand up and raise our heads. The relationship we have with Jesus Christ. The relationship that comes with being Christians. The relationship that comes with being disciples of Jesus Christ in a culture that does not demonstrate that which Christ called us to be. As some of us heard Wednesday night, we are not only countercultural for the world, we are countercultural with many denominations that call themselves Christians. Not that they're wrong, but we look at our relationship with Christ in a unique way. That we have been freed. We have been saved. Not just saved after death. We have been saved for a life in this world. We have been saved to be free to serve and to free to do with one another. That, I think, is what Christ is calling us to do. That's what I hear is the message today. So the question is, what are we waiting for?